Hey y'all, Angel Audio here with another video. I know, isn't everyone excited? I'm super excited. Anyway, it is still Native American Heritage Month, so I'm still on my native videos. These next two videos are going to be the most famous mythical creatures they have, the wendigo and the skinwalker. Today we're doing wendigos, which I've known about for as long as I can remember. I just didn't know they were native until, like, high school, I think. So, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of monsters where you don't know exactly where they come from, but you've heard of them, so you're just like, wow, monster. And then later on, if you actually research them instead of just, like, blowing it to the side, you're like, oh, wow, that's where it came from. That's so amazing. I hope we both learned something today, because I basically am just like, I know stuff about them. I feel like most people know stuff about them. But I'm basically like, wow, deer skull on a giant body, because cannibalism and Native American things. Anyway, I have like this whole thing that I looked up on the website that hopefully has all of the information. This shouldn't be too long of a video. Hopefully, I'm gonna be saying stuff in between the facts that I'm reading, but I don't know. Anyways, here we go. Facts about the wendigo. So first off, its looks. The wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation. Jesus. It's disenfagin. Jeez, I know words. Desiccated skin pulled tautly over its bones, with its bones pushing out against its skins. Its complexion, the ash gray of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets. The wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody. Its body was unclean and suffering from separations of the flesh, giving off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption. See, like, if I could say words all the time, that'd be nice. But I can't. But yeah, basically, I've always seen, like, the whole, like, gray body with... It's basically a skeleton walking around murdering people. It's pretty great. In Minnesota's North Woods, the forest of the Great Lake region, and the central region of Canada are said to live a malevolent being called a wendigo. This creature may appear as a monster with some human characteristics, or as a spirit who has possessed a human being and made them monstrous. It was historically associated with cannibalism, murder, insatiable greed, and the cultural taboos against such behaviors known by several names: wendigo, Wetigo, and Wetigo. Each roughly translates to the evil spirit that devours mankind. So yeah, see, cannibalism. Boom, I was right. Do skinwalkers do the cannibalism thing, or are they just like, they'll murder anything? I don't know. This creature has long been known among the Algonquin, Ojibwe, Eastern Cree, Saltax, West Main, Swampy Cree, Nescapi, and Innu people. They have described them as giants, many times larger than human beings, although descriptions can vary somewhat. Common to all these cultures is the view that the wendigo is a malevolent, cannibalistic supernatural being strongly associated with winter, the north, coldness, famine, and starvation. I can't say the words that I know. Anyway, I figured it kind of went between all of those people with all the things. Also, I didn't know it had so many words. I guess everything has so many words. People always have to have like 15 names for each thing. They're like, if you go to this place, it's this. And if you go to this place, it's this. And if you pronounce it wrong and you put a G and an H in it, then it spells Michaela. No. Anyway, a giant with a heart of ice sometimes is thought to be entirely made of ice, its body of skeletal and deformed and missing lips and toes. The Ojibwa describe it. It was a large creature as tall as a tree, with a lipless mouth and jagged teeth. Its breath was a strange hiss, its footprints full of blood, and it ate any man, woman, or child who ventured into its territory. And those were the lucky ones. Sometimes the wendigo chose to possess a person instead, and the luckless individual became a wendigo himself, hunting down those he had once loved and feasting upon their flesh. See, I didn't know they did the possession thing. I assumed it was just, like, some monster that, like, ate people and then continued to eat people and just killed everybody. I didn't know they possessed people, but, you learn stuff every day. According to the legends, a wendigo was created whenever a human resorts to cannibalism to survive. In the past, this occurred more often when Indians and settlers found themselves stranded in the bitter snow and ice of the North Woods, sometimes stranded for days. Any survivors might have felt compelled to cannibalize the dead to survive. Other versions of the legend cite the humans who displayed extreme greed, gluttony, and excess may also be possessed by a wendigo. Thus, the myth served as a method of encouraging cooperation and moderation. See, I, understand the greed part, and I know cannibalism is bad, but sometimes you're in a situation where that's what you kinda have to do. Like the, Oregon Trail. They had to cannibalize some people. Granted, the people weren't very nice part of the time anyway, but, And then there was, the airplane crash with the football team on it, and they had to cannibalize for a while because they were in the mountains and no one was helping. Then there was, several shipwrecks where people have had to do cannibalisms. I feel like if you're in a situation where you, have to, it shouldn't, that shouldn't hurt you. But if you did it for a bad reason, you're just a dick, then I feel then you should turn into a wendigo. Jeffrey Dahmer should be a wendigo. Don't give that man shouldn't have given that man any more power, but I'm just saying, if it was in the woods, you probably would have turned into a wendigo. Do you have to be in the woods for it? Maybe that's why he didn't turn into one. Native American versions of this creature spoke of a gigantic spirit over 15 feet tall that had once been human, but it had been transformed into a creature by magic. Though all of the descriptions of the creature vary slightly, the wendigo is generally said to have glowing eyes, long yellowed fangs, terrible claws, and overly long tongues. Sometimes they're described as having sallow, yellowish skins, and other times they're covered in matted hair. This creature is said to have several skills and powers, including stealth. It is a near-perfect hunter, knows and uses every inch of his territory, and controlled the wealthier through dark magic. They are also portrayed as simultaneously gluttonous and emaciated from starvation. Yeah, see, I mean, I didn't know they did spells. These things are more powerful than I thought. I was just wow, cannibalism, immediately monster. And now they're they do possessions and spells, and they control the rich. Oh, the Illuminati. The Wendigo is part of the Illuminati. No, I'm joking. Wendigos are said to be cursed to wander the land, eternally seeking to fulfill their voracious appetite for human flesh. And if there is nothing left to eat, it starves to death. Oh, so that's how you kill one. Just stay out of the woods. The legend lends its name to the disputed modern medical term wendigo psychosis. Some psychiatrists consider it a syndrome that creates an intense craving for human flesh and a fear of becoming a cannibal. Ironically, this psychosis occurs within people living around the Great Lakes of Canada and the United States. Wendigo psychosis usually develops in the winter in individuals who are isolated by heavy snow for long periods. The initial symptoms are poor appetite, nausea, and vomiting. Subsequently, the individual develops a delusion of being transformed into a wendigo monster. People who have wendigo psychosis increasingly see others around them as being edible. At the same time, they have an exaggerated fear of becoming cannibals. So you don't want to be a cannibal, but you for sure think you're going to be a cannibal. Maybe... No? I mean, that doesn't all fit Jeffrey Dahmer. I was about to say, maybe that's why Jeffrey Dahmer started doing it, because he had this. But no, he wasn't really afraid of being a cannibal. He just did it. The most common response when a person shows signs of wendigo psychosis was a curing attempt by traditional native healers. In past cases, if these attempts failed and the possessed person began to threaten those around them, or to act violently or antisocially, they were executed. There have been reports regarding this psychosis dating back hundreds of years. Well, that would explain the possession thing that people say wendigo can do. A 1661 Jesuit relations document stated, "What caused us greater concern was the intelligence that met us upon entering the lake, namely, that the men deputed by our conductor to summon the nations of to the North Sea, and assigning them a rendezvous where they were to wait our coming, had met their death with the previous winter in a very strange manner. Those poor men, according to the report given to us, were seized with an ailment unknown to us but not very unusual among the people we were seeing. They were afflicted with neither lunacy, hypochondria, nor frenzy, but have a combination of all these species of diseases, which affects their imaginations and causes them more than canine hunger. This makes them so ravenous for human flesh that they pounce upon women, children, and even upon men, like veritable werewolves, and devour them voraciously, without being able to appease or glut their appetite, ever seeking fresh prey, and more greedily than more they eat. This ailment attacked our deputies, and as death is the sole remedy among these simple people for checking such acts of murder, they were slain in order to stay the course of their madness." See, I saw at one point there was, I don't know if it was a fake video or what, but like a long time ago I saw a video of people being like, yeah, these people really think they're werewolves, like watch them transform into werewolves, and I'm like, is that what this is? Going through my mind, I feel like that's what this is. I mean, there's a lot of weird mental stuff that happens that makes people think different things, so maybe this is part of what that was? I don't know. Anyway, another documented case occurred in 1878 when a Plains Cree trapper from Alberta named Swift Runner suffered one of the worst cases known. Swift Runner was a trader with the Hudson Bay Company who is married and the father of 6 children. In 1875, he served as a guide for the Northwest Mounted Police. During the winter of 1878 through 79, Swift Runner and his family were starving, along with numerous other Cree families. His eldest son was the first to die of starvation, and at some point, Swift Runner succumbed to wendigo psychosis. Though emergency food supplies were available at Hudson Bay Company, post some 25 miles away, he did not attempt to travel there. Instead, he killed the remaining members of his family and consumed them. He eventually confessed and was executed by authorities at Fort Saskatchewan. That's so weird. Wendigo allegedly made several appearances near Rusesu in North Minnesota from the late 1800s through the 1920s. Each time it was reported, an unexpected death followed, and finally it was seen no more. Another well-known case involving wendigo psychosis was that of Jack Fiddler, an OG Cree chief and medicine man, known for his powers at defending wendigos. Fiddler claimed to have defeated 14 wendigos during his lifetime. Some of these creatures were said to have been sent by enemy shamans, and others were members of his band, who had been taken with the insatiable, incurable desire to eat human flesh. In the later case, family members usually asked Fiddler to kill a very sick loved one before they turned wendigo. Fiddler's brother, Peter Flett, was killed after turning wendigo when the food ran out on a trading expedition. Hudson's Bay Company traders, the Cree, and the missionaries knew the wendigo legend, though they often explained it as a mental illness or superstition. Regardless, several incidents of people turning wendigo and eating human flesh are documented in the company's records. In 1907, Fiddler and his brother Joseph were arrested by the Canadian authorities for murder. Jack committed suicide, but Joseph was tried and sentenced to life in prison. He ultimately was granted pardon, but died 3 days later in jail before receiving the news of its pardon. Among the Essanobi, the Cree, and the Ojibwe, a satirical ceremonial dance is sometimes performed during times of famine to reinforce the seriousness of the wendigo taboo. The frequency of wendigo psychosis cases decreased sharply in the 20th century as the Native Americans came into greater and greater contact with Western ideology. However, wendigo creature sightings are still reported, especially in northern Ontario, near the Cave of the Wendigo, and around Kenora, where traders have allegedly spotted it, trackers and trappers for decades. Many still believe that the wendigo roams the woods and the prairies of northern Minnesota and Canada. Many have given Kenora, Ontario, Canada, the title of Wendigo capital of the world. Sightings of the creatures in this area have continued well into the new millennium. So see, to me, that just sounds like people went crazy when they didn't have food, and other people just didn't know how to deal with it, and they're like, please stop being a cannibal, and the other person like, well, I'm already a cannibal. And so they, like, just murdered them. That just sounds like starving and mental illness. I don't know. Like, I love scary stories, and I love mythical creatures and stuff. And I kind of feel like, to a point, there's some truth to most things. But most of this just sounds like people were starving and were going mentally insane from it. And they just were like, yeah, I'm murdered. Like, that's pretty horrible. So, I mean, it's understandable. Don't eat people. Don't eat people unless, like, absolutely mandatory. There is, like, no other option possible. But don't kill those people. Ask first, usually. Unless they're, like, a murderer on purpose, like Jeffrey Dahmer. See, I'm also kind of weird on the death penalty, because, like, I kind of feel like people should just, like, sit and rewatch videos of, like, the crimes they committed to be reminded every day. But then some people are like, I want to watch videos of the crimes I committed. So, like, I also don't want to waste money on people who are horrible, but I don't know. Anyway, don't be a cannibal. Don't eat people. I still think wendigos are cool. I don't know. I don't remember seeing anything about, like, the deer skull thing, so maybe that's just people being like, well, you know, deers are native, and we're like, okay, I guess that works. I don't know. I feel like people don't really, like, people are worried about wendigos, and they're talked about a lot, but I hear more stuff about skinwalkers from people than I do wendigos, so I don't know. We'll talk about skinwalkers next week, so we'll see what goes on with them. Anyway, that's what I got about wendigos. I hope you have a great day. Be safe. Don't eat people. Yeah. See you later.